Ladies and gentlemen, I'm currently preparing for recording next year, recording this in August 26, so next year 27. There will be recording here at the piano, and I will be recording the entire bundle of the Songs Without Words by Mendelssohn. Now, Mendelssohn is a composer that for many of you, and it was also for me, is a composer that we all admire, but somehow not in the same ballpark as Mozart, Beethoven, like the top composers, so to say. And it's a little bit within my journey, as with Haydn. Haydn is also a composer that if you like Mozart, you would say like, okay, I will like Haydn, but it's not so simple because the music is different. You have to dive a little bit deeper into it. It's the same with Mendelssohn, but once you do, an entire world opens. I'm gonna play for you today. Well, not really play because I'm still preparing, but I want to share with you, and in the coming videos maybe a few other songs that I'm working on currently, and that in some cases took me a while to really understand or to see why this is really great music. Sometimes you have a piece that you're playing and you say it's nice, but what do I have to do as a performer to convince my audience that this is really worth their time listening to? And today we're going to focus on the first, well, actually number 4 of the first set of Songs Without Words. With Mendelssohn, we should not forget, he died at an age barely older than Mozart. So he was one of the greatest geniuses ever lived. I could talk about his musical memory, which was phenomenal. In case you have time to read his letters, please do. It's just a world opening for us and for you. How am I going to play all of these pieces? Well, I'm following actually the tempo indications by Edward Mertke. Now you could say like, Wim, Mendelssohn didn't publish metronome marks. We know you're a guy researching all of that, but come on, you can figure out your own tempo. Yes, I can. But sometimes it's surprising that in some cases how far our developed taste and our understanding of what we think the music of the past was actually differs from what people in those days actually thought the best or the obvious performance was. And tempo, of course, is important. It's the first thing you have to determine as a musician. And so going back to the 19th century in order to find metronome marks published for works of which originally the composer didn't publish any metronome mark makes sense, because these people tried to find like the best balance between what they thought and what the composer would have had in mind. And so Edward Mertke, unknown figure to us, his publications are barely on IMSLP, last time I checked, but it's changing every day, so you might check. Also very good metronomizations for Chopin. He published a lot of, he was the editor for Breitkopf. And Hertel, this is not the Breitkopf edition I see now, but he was a very prominent publisher, editor, not publisher, but editor. And so his metronome marks are very interesting. So I'm following a score that is published later, in 1915, but in some cases still follows apparently Edward Mertke. So you're not getting a full performance, it's just a short piece. I want you to follow just me throughout this piece, and we're going to discover it together. This is a piece that at first sight is so simple that you would disregard it, like talking about it or taking it as a subject in a YouTube video. But you will be surprised how effective Mendelssohn was in just eloquently displaying a story that is actually announcing also Schumann, like the Kinderscenen or whatever. It's unbelievable. Let's go. So it's a very simple structure, just one page. You have an introduction here, and the same introduction comes as a coda at the end. So this is storytelling avant la lettre, like the French say. You have an introduction, the scene is set, and boom, there you go with the main narrative, which of course starts here. And we'll talk about that. So 84, just for you, is this tempo. We follow that in whole beat. I explained it many times. You can check other videos. So we take the back and forth to represent the quarter note, which is like 1 and 2 and 3. Makes sense for these songs. I mean, they're played very fast today, but many of them in the tempos indicated by Metke will be just flat out impossible. Not this one though, but it's moderato. Start with 16th notes, and then you see the contrast with the main section here, just 8 notes. So again, we will see what happens there. The introduction, very simple. Beautiful. I mean, just displaying such, setting the stage, everybody is just paying attention. You were talking to your neighbor because they imagined this was a saloon concert, or just like Mendelssohn played this song for his family. They had visitors and they were drinking and smoking a cigar. At that time was still allowed in the house and things like that. And so he sits at the piano and he's just start. And slowly everybody starts to listen. And that's, of course, why this is an introduction. But still, it's very beautiful. Now, just a few words. I'm not using the pedal. Why I'm not doing that? Well, this is not an original edition, because this edition already indicates pedal. Pedal is introduced way more often throughout the 19th century. So today we're following actually kind of late 19th century principle on pedaling. Pedaling is often used like this. So you would, in concerts, you would definitely play this pedal. And you would use a pedal to just tie these notes like these together. Like it's kind of legato pedal. In those days, that didn't happen. If you go to the original score, I'm playing actually from the Henley edition, which is kind of, it's a newer text in fact, then you will see that Mendelssohn is only introducing the pedal really at the end here, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, let's just look it up, because before I say stupid things, and you might fact check me. Yes, so Mendelssohn indicates no pedal, just from here at the end. Exactly here. Here. That's pedaled. Now you could say like, yeah, but he only indicates pedal where it's not obvious. I would say here it's very obvious. Just to try it, you know, a broken chord. So that's like the piano at the end sounds very beautiful there. Why would you not indicate the pedal? It's possible without. But that kind of thing, that narrative that you hear so often that composers, Chopin, like, I mean, a lot of composers, that people say like, yeah, but you should follow the score, but not in regards of the metronome mark or the tempo indication and the pedaling, because, well, that's the metronome mark. You do your own taste, which is fine, but it's an escape route of not acknowledging that these metronome marks are very problematic. But anyways, that's another story. But with pedaling, you hear that often, that people say like, yeah, but composers only indicated pedal where it was not obvious. Well, the opposite is true. Oftentimes they indicated where it's very obvious, like here at the beginning, at the end, I mean. And so you have to figure that out yourself. I think personally that in those days, certainly with composers of the status as Mendelssohn, they valued the score very much. This was their only way to communicate with their audience that they wanted to serve with music. And so indicating the pedal at the end is a clear indication that for the rest you're not supposed to use pedal. You can do that, but if you want to recreate Mendelssohn's sound world, then you don't do it, I think. And you come with a very clean sound. And then the only thing you have to decide is what to do with these notes. You can hold them longer, but Mendelssohn actually is indicating them here as eighth notes, so he could have done that before. So I'm figuring this out for the recording next year. Still time enough to do. I hold them a little longer. Not too much rubato. Also one thing, rubato is a complete different story. In fact, when I close the chapter on tempo reconstruction and with the book published, this is one of my next topics that I really would like to dive into. And it's a very complex, and it's not a black and white story. But when people in those days wanted you to slow down, they wrote ritenuto. And even in places where it's very obvious. Anyways, so let's check the tempo. I think I'm still more or less in that tempo. I mean, in that range. But then we start the real story here. And the scene is set, and there we go. Then he just repeats it. It's a few times that this motive is repeated. It is so simple and so effective. If we just analyze the harmony, 1, 5, 1, 6th grade modulation to actually F sharp minor. So the 6th grade becomes the principal tonality. Back to same. Again, so very simple. Almost everyone who's watching right now could write this. But what is so great is Mendelssohn introduces a melody, and a melody with also notes that are kind of dissonant anticipations, and are these additions to the harmony that just colors this piece and that creates the effect upon us. Like for instance here, the moment he goes to the relative minor effect. Beautiful. Again, anticipation. No ornamentation here, eh? Very tender. Now this return to A major is very tender with this anticipation. So how do you explain this? I mean, when I played it for the first time, I saw Mendelssohn at the piano and say like, I have to do something with this. This is clearly something that came from, I mean, I'm not a big believer in inspiration. You have structure, you have knowledge, you have experience, and you have routine. And then the beautiful things come not by themselves. You need talent, of course, but it's the last percentages. But like things like that. Do you think of notes like that when you just walk in the forest? I don't know, but beautiful. Also not this, but creates more tension by the first inversion. This is a story that is like, I'm using the word tender a lot in this context, but it is in a way something that, it's like you see a child playing and in his own world, and you as an adult, it's so like almost emotional sometimes to watch, especially when it are your own kids, but like you're an outsider. And you see this little kid, this like young human being, like just barely can walk, and there's like it's kind of that emotion, and you can have your own narrative, your own story, and you can play it a zillion times. You never get tired of it. And in fact, Mendelssohn repeats it in forte. And listen what he does now. He's repeating it here, of course. But now he introduces just this little addition. He is adding a second voice. Like the tenor, whatever, is singing along with the soprano. You have two voices suddenly. But this small addition makes a huge difference. We're still in this very simple narrative. And now it comes. That is unbelievable. Is it just me? But I can play this the entire day. I am enjoying it so much. Let's be honest. None of us would come to the idea of... So he's accentuating. Unbelievable. Again, return to A major. And then he introduces something new. It's a very short piece. Introduces eighth notes. And the eighth notes will give a certain rhythmical effect, of course. And we're playing actually basically in quarter notes. By the way, talking about tempo and metronome marks, does it sound so weird, this whole beat tempo? And now he introduces announcing of Schumann, really. So there is a little ingredient of drama added to it, but it's basically nothing. It's just something. If we stick to the image of the little child playing in his own world, there's something outside that catches his attention, and there he goes and to check it out. It's a discovery. Suddenly there's something new in his life. You could also say this is just the narrator. We had the main scene here, and the narrator is coming here, and he's just telling the story for us. There's something more like the first scene was more like not static, but it's like we observe this child in his own bubble, to stick with the image. And now we not explain it, but it's like a reflection upon it. It's like we're talking. The adults are in the room talking to each other. Say it is actually unbelievable, right? Look what he's doing. And also brilliant the way that Mendelssohn here. That's like there you can smell a great composer, and there's a distinction between a great composer and a good composer. He stops with the eight notes here. Just you're gone. It's so effective. Listen. It's also the confirmation. We're going to E major. Continuation. This reminds us to a little bit, like this anticipation here reminds us to this one. I mean, me at least. Like a repetition. So also here, just a little ingredient of drama, like just to go back to A major. I mean, harmonically, this is very, very simple. Actually, this is the harmony. There's a sequence, like team to the tom here. But listen what the melody does. So that's the harmony. Imagine you're studying music and you're in conservatory or music school and you get an exercise like, okay, this is your harmony, write a melody. And there's Felix next to you and he writes this. And then it's a 6/4 inversion, second inversion of F sharp minor, which is the relative, of course, of A major. But by positioning it like this, he is actually suggesting a cadence in favor of F sharp minor. And he's not doing that. It's like our brain is searching. It's searching for anchor points all the time. That's how human beings operate, because we operate based on not assumptions, yes, in a way, but also automations. Because imagine we would have to think about every action that we're doing in our day. We would just die because it would be too much. So we're filling in the gaps before they happen. That's why it's sometimes so hard to read what is on the score or what in the text that you know very well. We are just filling it in up front. And here we do it also. But what the composer is doing is not giving in to this because we come to A major. And then the effect is, of course, much bigger. So you have this interruption and then we go back, like a little variation now, to what happened before. With the 8 notes. I should use a pedal there. This is so well made that imagine what is to come in the other bundle, because he wrote a lot of songs without words. For me, this is a discovery. So I'm very much looking forward to recording this for you next year. Of course, I'm working on Mozart first at the clavichord. Maybe they both will go hand in hand, the recordings. Mozart is, as we speak, in August now, 26. The recording of the first box, I'm still thinking of like how many CDs it should be, is almost finished. And so I'm working on the second one, still preparing for organ recordings with Mozart and eventually also some at the piano. I don't know how that will go. There's still something to discover there for me as well. But Mendelssohn is in the pipeline, also at the organ, the sonatas, but they're not easy. So I need my time to really think through it and to come to something that I think might deserve a little bit your time and attention. If you want to keep be informed about all these projects, there's a link in the description box that leads you to my email list. That's the best way to be informed. I'm using the email list sometimes as a newsletter, but especially when I'm releasing something, then you will be notified through that newsletter. And there's also a link to my Patreon site. There's an awesome community there waiting for you. with a Discord page where you can hang out with each other. I'm there, not often in the Discord page, I have to say, but I'm there for you if you have questions or you just want to be a little bit closer to the projects. I would very much appreciate if you check it out. Patrons are my foundational community, so to say. They make sure that I'm able to record these videos for you. Thanks for checking that out. There is more Mendelssohn to come, but this was all I've got for you today. Thank you for watching. We see each other very soon again. Bye.